Welcome back to Your Real Estate Voice with Barb Schlinker, the weekly radio show that informs and educates you on how to buy or sell real estate with Barb Schlinker, the owner of Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty. Now, Barb, home sellers planning to put their homes on the market often ask how to prepare. So, what are some important tips to drive up the sales price when they sell their Colorado Springs area home?
Well, Richard, I'd say pricing, which we talked about earlier, is absolutely critical that you price it, especially in a market that's correcting a little bit. Some of the correction is seasonality. What I mean by that is probably the prices peak out maybe April, May, and more demand with all the military moves that go on in this market. But in general, there's more buyers buying in the summer versus the fall and winter. But there have been years where December was my busiest month because there is a transfer that happens in December as well with the military. But even so, the prices are correcting a little bit because the rates are going up. And that reduces the buyer's ability to handle payments. So for every 1% it goes up, we lose about 10% of the buyer population out there. Those are big numbers in general. So you want to make sure you check that. You take all these factors in. What are similar sales? What is the condition of the home? How does it stack up against the current competition? How long have the other homes been sitting on the market and why? And it's always good to price a home what I call realistically versus optimistically. Now, most sellers assume that buyers are going to buy their home, I don't care how pretty they are, as is, and not ask for any repairs. But I can say every year I can count on one hand how many buyers said, "We'll take the home as is, it's all good." That just doesn't happen very often. But small improvements or some checks that you can do on your home before you go on the market can really go a long way and set you up for success. As an example, I sold one of my listings, or it's under contract right now, but basically I brought the buyer to this listing, and we had met years before, and then we met months before we were planning to go on the market. And I suggested to them, because they're on acreage, make sure you check out the septic system, inspect it, and find out whether or not it might need either repair or replacement. Only because that whole process of getting a repair bid, that what they have to do basically is do a soils test on the dirt if the leach field fails on the septic system. And then they have to take that soils test, send it to an engineer. An engineer has to decide what kind of septic leach field will be appropriate for that system. Then they have to bid it. Then they pull a permit based on the engineer and the bid. And so all that whole process takes at least 90 days, at least. It could be longer as well. And it is also very expensive. And most people don't pay attention to the septic system if they don't have any problems and it doesn't have any backups. But the county and the state, in most counties in the area, require that the septic inspection take place prior to ownership transferring hands because and that is a seller obligation to do that because they want to make sure the ground is not contaminated. So that can be a very big ticket item that it would be a really good idea to get ahead of. Also with roofs, we have hailstorm after hailstorm in this climate. And again, if the roof doesn't leak, most sellers are like, it's fine, right? Well, the problem is your buyer can't get homeowners insurance if there is substantial hail damage on the roof. So that's another thing that you want to get ahead of and have somebody check out the roof. Um, Furnaces, things like the major mechanical furnace, electrical panel, those kind of things. It would be good. You don't necessarily have to fix it, but at least check out the system. You're supposed to do routine maintenance on furnaces and have them serviced every year. But most updates in general are pretty quick and easy and low cost, and a little bit of pre-planning goes a long way. Number one is declutter. So a lot of people do not see the clutter that they live with. And it's not meant to insult people. It's just they get used to it. Like we just did a rehab and we had to pull everything off the main level, put it in the basement, which really cluttered the basement and cleared off the main level. So as we're in the process of moving back into the main level, there's boxes of stuff downstairs that I haven't pulled upstairs, and I don't need them. In fact, I'm wondering what's in the boxes. So I think that happens with people. You just start accumulating things and it's just around and you don't pay attention to it and you don't really need it, but it's still there. The problem is it's very visible in photos, and buyers cannot see past it with marketing. So with this project, declutter really has to be taken one room at a time. So first, just go take pictures, be really honest with yourself, look at the picture, blow up the picture, and go, okay, does this look crowded? Does this look like too much stuff in the room? Is there anything jumping off the page in this photo? And we give you a lot of guidance. We actually, with our listings, we include a staging consult that gives you tips on what to do room by room by room, just so you know exactly how to prepare your home for photo day, because that is your first showing online. If buyers don't like what they see online, they are moving on. They're going to go get some other house and they're not even going to be bothered to come take a look at your home. You can rent a storage space and put a lot of stuff in there. But these are the rooms that you need to focus on. Number one, curb appeal is absolutely critical. Number two, backyard view. Number three, living room, kitchen, master bathroom, and master bedroom. So make sure those are cleared out. Don't worry too much about garages and the inside of closets, except for maybe the master closet, because the buyers definitely will look inside the closets when it's time to show the house. But at least for the initial photos, I wouldn't worry too much about it. Go ahead and put some of your storage stuff into the garage. That's fine to do that. Another very easy, inexpensive tip is to neutralize any dramatic paint. Now, what do I mean by dramatic? We had fads for a while where we were doing wallpaper. Wallpaper in some respects is coming back. All the fads come and go. Accent walls. I had an accent wall in my house, a red one that I thought was really pretty, but it's gone now. In general, buyers can't look past it. So if you can, especially in the key rooms, neutralize any dramatic paint. I remember having one customer, they were huge Bronco fans, and they had this big great room with a vaulted ceiling, and they painted the whole back wall Bronco orange, bright Bronco orange. And I said, I'm sorry, but you have to paint that wall. And they kind of grumbled. They weren't too happy with me, but you will get back 107% of any kind of paint freshening, and use neutral colors, grayish, the grayish color, cream colors, light neutral colors always work. And any tired flooring is also very, very important to repair, replace, because that's just one of those things that the buyers just can't get past, right? And I learned this from somebody that handles a high volume of sales for banks years ago. He goes, "Hey, you're my eyes and ears on the ground. Tell me if it needs new carpet, because in general, if the carpet's old, the buyer's gonna make an offer 7 or more times the cost of just replacing that." We had a house up in the Glen Eagle area, really beautiful, cool custom home, and they had replaced the carpet in the basement, but not on the main level. And when we first started showing, they were still living there, they still had their furniture, and you really didn't notice how worn the carpet was, but they moved out during the process of showing the home. And when they did that, um, all of the traffic areas, all of the weariness of the carpet really stood out. It just jumped out at you. And there was a couple of things, like there was a trend to put little borders up in rooms. So they came back and they replaced the carpet. They took care of the border. They updated a bath or two, just not too extreme, just simple stuff. And then we placed furniture in there, and immediately it sold for almost full price. We had another house where it was an inherited home, And I don't know if you remember, Richard, when the colors mauve and green were a fashion trend, like the late 90s. Remember that?
Yeah, they were kind of Miami Vice back in those days, but not so much these days.
So this house had pink mauve carpet. I said, because they asked me, what do we do? Do we update the kitchen? I said, no, but you need to replace the flooring, especially the carpet, and you can just freshen up the hardwood. So that's what they did. And it sold for over asking price. And one of the things that we provide is a help and information to make sure you're ahead of all these repair issues. So give us a call if you are thinking of making a move at 719-301-3900 or go to barbhasthebuyers.com. My name is Barb Schlinker, the broker of Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty. Barb has the buyers and the host of this show. And when we come back, we're going to touch on some low cost improvements that buyers just love. Richard?
You're listening to Your Real Estate Voice with Barb Schlinker of Your Home Sold, Guaranteed Realty. And if you're thinking of selling, you want to give Barb a call, 719-301-3900. And we're talking, Barb, about the top tips to drive up the sales price of your home here in the Colorado Springs area. What are some other home repairs that can yield a great return on that investment?
Well, I think one of the big things that you could do that's very inexpensive is basically decluttering and having some kind of staging prep before you go on the market, especially with furniture. It's hard to find somebody to buy your furniture, although I had one client recently that had some pretty good success selling their used furniture on Facebook Marketplace. That worked out really well for them. So that's a tip. You can use that to sell any excess furniture and make sure that you take care of clutter, make sure it's neat and tidy in every room. And basically, it's like a spring cleaning time for you, but take it one room at a time. It can be overwhelming. I just helped one couple move to a more independent living facility from a big, big house. And they left some of their unwanted furniture there, and then my stager work with them and move stuff around, and it looks amazing. So we can help you do that. My staff can help you do that. Plus, we have a moving van that we have two that we let our clients use for free, or we also have help that we can get to help you move stuff into storage or maybe repurpose stuff that you don't need. And we offer that service for free. So give us a call anytime at 719-301-3900 or go to barbhasthebuyers.com. Richard?
You're listening to Your Real Estate Voice. That's Barb Schlinker of Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty. She's the host of the program. And if you are thinking of making a move, call Barb 719-301-3900 or visit barbhasthebuyers.com. If you want a free report on her 27 tips to sell your home fast and for the most money, go to barbhasthebuyers.com and then go up to free reports. You can download it there. When we come back, we're going to be talking about why do people prefer a cash offer when they're selling a house? Plus, Barb's hot new listings. Stay tuned for those.